Welcome back to an episode of Clutch Gene Sports. I'm with my co-host Josh Harper. Hasn't been on the show for a few weeks. Me and him have been pretty busy, and our schedules haven't linked up. But he's back on the show to talk 49ers free agency. Talk a lot about the receiver rumors. To get the receiver, the man of receivers, to talk about the receivers right after this. What is up, faithful? I'm with my guy Josh Harper. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Happy to be back. It's been a long
Hey,
time. It's been
it
a
is
minute.
first and foremost. Shout out to you. Your water bottles. Been seeing those
Oh
a lot
yeah.
on the timeline. So
Oh yeah.
seeing that you've been doing some promotions on them.
Yes. They're doing pretty good. And again, this is only the beginning, man. So these are kid water bottles. We're gonna come with the adults bottles, different sports, all that. We got a lot of different things coming out. Trying to be a water connoisseur, because that's important to me. So why not push it to everybody else? So be on the
And
lookout for that.
if you guys don't know, the link is in the bio. It's Hydrate Like a Pro, and there's also Sports Dream, a kid's book by Josh Harper's sister.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys get one of those for your kid. Get them a water bottle and a book. Let them hydrate and let them get their mind right. Read a book and to get them the right way. Well, first thing that happened for agency, the Niners were trying to restructure Arik Armstead. They couldn't get it done. Well, I mean, Arik Armstead said, I ain't taking no pay cut, which no player should ever take a pay cut for any team. I don't care what anyone says. No player should do it. Um, didn't come to contract numbers and stuff like that. He gets released with the post June 1st designation, and he signs with the Jags right away. What were your initial thoughts of the Niners releasing Armstead, and what's your reaction of him going to the Jaguars?
And he was one. He's one of my favorite players just because how long he's been there. He's very underappreciated. And he's a good defensive lineman. He can play the 3 tech. He can slide out and 6 tech, and beat up on the tight end. But my initial reaction, I mean, it was bound to happen. When you have all of these players who are making all these top dollars, you're not going to be able to keep all of them, right? Sooner than later, you're going to have to, come face to face with the cap limit, right? So, I mean, he was one of the obvious players, and I mean, he made the right choice of not taking a pay cut because he just got paid again. So he knew his worth, and I'm all for the players. Like I always say, go get your money. And take care of your family. So, props to
Yeah,
him.
it's funny how a lot of people don't realize when you're in the NFL, it's a business. At the end of the day, even though you want to have loyalty to your team or whatever, what shows to me is if the team ain't gonna have no loyalty to you, why should you be loyal to them, right? Like he did them a bunch of favors the last few years, restructuring his contract year after year. He was doing the Niners favors to create cap space to sign other players, and then they asked him to take it. Was from according to reports, it was a significant pay cut. Goes to the Jags on a 3-year, $51 million deal at 17 per year. I mean, I wouldn't have taken no pay cut if you're gonna go to Florida, get no state taxes and
Right.
get the bag. Like it's kind of a better situation financially. And at some point, you got to understand too. Even though you're playing to win the game, win and get rings, you're also trying to set your family up for success and for years and years. Like you're not only one generation, but generations to come. Now, as soon as that happened, the Niners' first day of I guess negotiation period is a legal tampering period on Monday. They signed Leonard Floyd. It has not been announced to be official yet, so I don't know. We've already seen one player from the 49ers get flipped to the Cowboys. Leonard Floyd has not been announced yet. He initially agreed to terms with the 49ers on a 2-year, upwards to $24 million, but it's 2 years, $20 million, with $12 million guaranteed. What's your thoughts on Leonard Floyd adding to the edge room?
I like that signing. So we know what we're gonna get out of Leonard. He's He's going to hit that edge. He's going to make quarterback step up in that pocket. But now we're going to need those interior dudes to push the pocket as well to work as a unit. But as far as Leonard, he's reliable. He's healthy. He's healthy. He's playing all of his games. So we know what we expect. We know what we're going to get from him, and he's the type of pass rusher that the Niners have been needing since D Ford hasn't since we had D Ford, right? We haven't had it like those speed rusher type players to come through this 49ers team. So I like that. I like that signing, but I think they're far from done. They should be. I don't looking at it now, I don't know if this D-line room is better than last year. So I mean, I know I see a lot of optimism from 49ers beat writers and things like that, which is cool. It's fine. But I just don't know if the D-line is better than what they were last year on paper.
Absolutely. So initially, so the way I saw the Leonard Floyd signing was looking at the 49ers, right? Like, we know what their biggest weakness was. It was clearly the secondary of Avery Thomas, and that's why I saw it. I know when you look at it, they did a lot of things to re-up their defensive line and stuff like that, but I don't think that was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think really the issue was not marrying the D line to the back end. If you get better at the back end, give Bosa that other half second to get home, you're going to start seeing more production from that D line. So for me, initially, I don't think it's a needle mover for me. It doesn't move the Niners over the top or to get over the hump, to get that Super Bowl ring. When you look at the Super Bowls, when you played the best quarterback to ever play, when it's all said and done, the D line is not going to win it. It's going to be the secondary. They're not going to let NFL refs, NFL in general, doesn't want to put the game in the refs' hands to call flags, call holding calls. They're not going to do that. And that goes both ways. The Niners held, the Chiefs held. I don't care what people say. You can point out both teams holding, but you got to up your secondary, because if your secondary is better, it makes it a lot harder for Mahomes to complete those passes. At the end of the day, you're getting better to beat Mahomes. That's where I see it. It wasn't a needle mover for me, but I did give this grade I give it a C+, B.
Okay.
At B at the best. 32 years old, 2-year deal, $12 million guaranteed. So you could get off that contract next year. So it's nothing like it. Just to me, it's a 1 year, $12 million deal the way I see it. So I think it's a C+, B minus grade from me. Then they go on and they double up on edge. And they sign Gross-Matos. His contract came out. It was a 2-year, $19 million deal. $6 million is guaranteed next year. So his contract looks like he's going to be around for both years. Like, it doesn't look like they can move off of him next year because they're eating a good amount of dead cap. What was your thoughts on this one?
So I don't know much about him, but from what I do know about him, he can line up on the outside, he can line up on the edge, he can line up in the interior. So I think he's their Eric Armstead replacement, I would say. That somebody who can, on rundowns, he can play the 6 tech. On passing downs, he can rush from the inside and rush against guards and things like that. But I just don't know much about him. I know a lot of the Niner fans on Twitter, they were thinking before free agency, splash. Who's going to be our splash free agency pickup? We're going all in, right? Brock Purdy hasn't got his deal yet. He's going to get his deal. Let's go all in now. I didn't really see it, but I think he's their Eric Armstead replacement. That versatile piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I know from him coming out of Penn State, I thought he was a good player. So I didn't really watch him when he was with the Panthers. So I hit up a Panthers former reporter. He was with, I believe, SB Nation. I hit him up and I asked him what his thoughts on him. He's like, honestly, he had a mini breakout year last year. Awesome, limited time, but because of injury, because at first a lot of us and many people thought he was a misfit in Evero's 3-4 and that he'd be traded. He goes, but he's actually really good as a run defender. He goes, he's solid as a pass rusher. He has inside-outside versatility, nothing special. He goes, the only thing he lacks is an experience and playing time. And then I asked him, I was like, well, what would you say his biggest strength is? He's like, honestly, as a run defender, he can set the edge. He goes, I would say he's above average. He goes, but again, limited reps. And then he eventually today, he sent me over a link he had found. He was like, I remember he was a good run defender in 2022, compared to this year. In 2022, he ranked 8th in run stop win rate as an edge defender. So I put him up there in the top 10 as a run defender on the edge. For me, I thought this was super redundant of a signing. Like, you just got done signing Leonard Floyd to help on the edge. Why not go get a true D tackle? Eventually, they did get a true D tackle. But to me, like, I was like, well, you could have put that money towards a corner. We just saw Kendall Fuller sign 2 years, $16.5 million. Like, you could have afforded that. You just signed Yetur Gross-Matos to a bigger deal when you could have upped your secondary. You had already just got better on the D line with Leonard Floyd. You eventually trade for Gross-Matos. Like, to me, like, that was a little confusing. I like the player. I understand that the versatility, but would you have used that money at a different position?
Yeah, man. Me personally, I would use it as I wanted a splash signing, somebody who can change a game. Or I get you need depth, I get it, but it's nothing like having a game changer. So I definitely would have, if the numbers seem like they were a bit similar, Kendall Fuller and the D lineman from Carolina, I would have definitely used it on Kendall Fuller, somebody who you know what you're gonna get, and then you can. I believe they're both interchangeable. Sometimes he can kick inside to the nickel, and so can Deebo. So it depends. Like, who do you want to play the majority of the snaps? I definitely would have used it on Kendall Fuller.
And that's what's interesting, is like, I thought, like, go get a corner. Adoree Jackson's still out there. He could play inside the slot. He could play outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Kendall Fuller could play outside. You keep Deebo inside and keeps your secondary strong. They ended up tripling down on the D line. Actually, going Jordan Elliott. They signed Jordan Elliott. Their first 3 moves along the D line. They signed Jordan Elliott to a 2-year, $10 million contract. He's a run defender. Pure through and through run defender. Top, I want to say it was ranked 6th in run defense last year, in run stops and everything like that. To me, I thought it was just the Niners getting depth up in their D line to stop the run, because they're eventually going to have to play teams like the Detroit Lions who plan on running the ball down your throat. That's how I saw it. Not crazy about it. Probably if I had to choose out of the first 3 picks, out of the pickups, I thought Jordan Elliott was a better signing, because it was that value bargain. You got him 2 years, $10 million, good run defender, good depth, inexperienced as a pass rusher, but he's coming with Chris Kasarik, who's probably going to develop him as a pass rusher. So to me, I thought that one was the better signing. 26 years old, has a lot of untapped potential. But I was curious, what are your thoughts? He played with the Browns and with Myles Garrett over there.
Yeah, man. I mean, I get the signing. I totally get it. The run game last year, the rush defense last year was not what Niners football is all about. It took a big step back. So I get it. Go out and get a few run defenders. I love the Jordan Elliott signing, because we know what he's good at. He's good at stopping the run. But I also do think we needed another pass rusher who we can rely on to get to the quarterback. So I like both of those. I like Jordan Elliott, but I also like the Leonard Floyd pickup as well.
And then they ended up trading a 7th round pick to D'Amico Ryans for another D tackle. Malik Collins is a different kind of guy, though. He's more of a pass rusher than anything. Yeah, brings a lot of versatility to you, because he can also stop the run. But he's pretty much that pass rusher that you're getting from losing Eric Armstead inside. He could replace Armstead as that pass rushing utility guy. What was your thoughts initially on the 49ers trading? This is just a 7th round pick, but they are going to owe him, I believe, $8 million. So 7th round pick for an $8 million contract. Probably would have had to pay him similar on free agency. So what was your thoughts on trading a 7th for him?
It's a 7th round pick. If it doesn't work out, it sounds like they can cut ties, which I don't think it shouldn't not work out. I mean, you're going to get an extended look at him, so you never have too many pass rushers. So it's good. He's known for his pass rushing at the D tackle position. So I'm not mad at it. It's just a 7th round pick. But I always thought that coming in, the Niners were looking to get younger, but keep that same core together. So this offseason has just kind of like, it's been odd to me, because they're getting older. They signed Jordan Elliott. He's 26, but outside of that, I mean, and then the one from Carolina. But outside of that, they're bringing in, these older dudes, and even if Kendricks would have stayed, or what's the middle linebacker? Even if he would have stayed, he's on the 30s side of things as well. So I don't know. They're getting older still.
So just reported by Michael Silver, who's pretty much been 100% accurate on every single thing that was the Niners were going to do in terms of free agency, set the 49er fan base up for success. A lot of people were going for the big name splash, and he was saying, hold your brakes. XYZ is going to happen. They're going to restructure. Yeah. He mentioned Kittle. He mentioned Armstead. And he said if none of them want to drop their price tag, they're going to get cut. And he also mentioned Juice. Armstead got cut. And then he said they're not going to go after that big name guy. They're going to go after a guy like Leonard Floyd. Sign Leonard Floyd. He also mentioned defensive tackles right away. He's been right. He just said, he tweeted, he has an article out there saying the 49ers aggressive offseason re-earned the defense. And he says safety Talanoa Hufanga, a 24-year-old who earned first-team All-Pro honors in 2022, is coming off a torn ACL and isn't assured of reclaiming his starting job. And he mentions a few people. He mentions that the 49ers are trying to sign a big-name safety. He mentions Justin Simmons, Cam Curl, and he mentioned Justin Blackman. Do you think the Niners, and this is going off of away from Malik Collins now, are the Niners going to potentially trade Hufanga?
I wouldn't put it past them, right? Coming off an injury, coming off an ACL, right? Yep. Coming off an ACL injury. He's a baller. His play speed was faster than, what he ran. But at the end of the day, coming off an ACL, they have a front row view of how he's front row seat on how he's progressing from injury, what he's looking like. And again, it's a win now. They're trying to win now, right? That's what everybody's saying. They're winning now. If it's going to take Hufanga this whole season to get right, I can see them trade. I wouldn't trade him, but I can see them, listening to offers or entertaining some deals because they're in a win. They're in a win now, and they think it's basically Super Bowl or bust for the Niners.
Absolutely. When you look at Hufanga's contract, he was a first-team All-Pro in 2022. Last year, tears his ACL. In his final year of his contract, he may be asking for a contract extension. Yeah. Like he truly may be saying, you know what, I'm not playing unless I have an extension. I just tore my ACL. If I re-tear it, I'm screwed for the rest of my life because I was drafted in the later rounds. My contract was a 4-year, $3 million deal. I balled out in 2022 for you guys. Went crazy. Where's the respect? Where's that respect? Remember that what I just got done saying about Armstead? Like, where's that loyalty? Right now, you're looking at safeties when you have an All-Pro coming off of injury. So for me, I'm looking at it. I'm like, dang, they may be looking to trade him. If you're going after guys like Justin Simmons, you're looking at Julian Blackman, guys that could fit that too high, could be in that slot role. You could put them at single high. A little more versatile than Hufanga. I think Hufanga does everything well. I think I would keep him. I would extend him. But the Niners may be looking at next year's draft class. And for everyone who knows me, I love looking at the draft classes. Yeah. Next year's draft class is safety deep. Like there's a lot of safeties there. So are the Niners looking at the future saying, you know what? Our college scouts are already telling us safety's deep next year. Hufanga may be able to get us something back in return this year. Very interesting. So you're saying you would not trade Hufanga though?
I wouldn't. Or could now let's think about it like this. Could this be that they don't feel that maybe they feel like 27 and Hufanga are similar type safeties, and they want somebody who can play the deep half of the field, the deep middle of the field, who can be sideline to sideline, who's a ball hawk, somebody like that. Could that be it?
It absolutely could be because when you do watch Jair Brown, right? Like, to be honest, I think he looks a lot more comfortable near the line of scrimmage. In the box. Like, I think he looks a lot more comfortable near the box. And it's kind of why when the Niners started playing Logan Ryan and Tashawn Gibson, Tashawn Gibson was that deep safety. You had Jair Brown roaming that field in near the box, near the line of scrimmage, getting up, blitzing him. They didn't really trust him. Like they did Logan Ryan right away. Came in,
Right.
he's playing deep safety at times. Like that's
Mhm.
interesting. You would think you would have your rookie who showed that in college. So it may be that they're like, you know what, it's too redundant to have two box safeties.
Yeah.
How do you really play single high? How can you disguise things when you want to go single high?
Mhm.
That's a very good point because if
Yeah.
that's the case, you kind of looking at it, Justin Simmons, that free safety role.
Yeah.
He's a ball hawk. Blackman, he could play that free safety role. He could also play that 2 high role.
Mhm.
So it's very, very entertaining that that came out right now as we're talking and then talking about it. It may be something that the Niners are truly looking at safety, as Mike Silver says, which is Justin Simmons, Cam Curl. He also threw out Cam Curl.
Mhm.
Cam Curl, I think, was more of a near the line of box
Yeah,
safety.
he's a big 6'3" guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at it, it's if they did trade him,
Mhm.
what do you think they could get in return for Hufanga coming off an ACL though?
So, and that's on top of a team going to have to pay him.
Extension.
He's an all pro. Fourth, fourth round. That'd be a good pick. Fourth round.
And that's actually solid.
Yeah.
That's solid investment because what they drafted Hufanga in the fifth, right? Yeah, fifth round. I believe they drafted him at 180. So in the fifth round. So you're looking at that. Hufanga draft him in the fifth round. He gives you 2 great years, one with the torn ACL, all pro year. You trade him for a fourth rounder. Now you could turn that fourth rounder into probably a player who could start within the next few years for you, whether that's corner, such a deep offensive line class. You could go right guard, center, developmental guys like that. Very interesting that was just dropped right now. But the 49ers are obviously they're not done.
Mm-hmm.
So far, they've signed 3 defensive linemen, an edge rusher, 2 edge rushers, 2 defensive tackles they ended up picking up. What would you give the 49ers free agency if you had to give them a grade? What would it be?
I'm gonna go C. I'm gonna go C, and here's why. They brought in players that can be replacements, but I don't think they brought in a replacement that could do what Eric Armstead did. So that's and then the only signing that I like that I think it's an upgrade from last year is a Leonard Floyd because he can get to the pass rusher. I don't think we had anybody opposite of Bosa. I mean, we had Chase Young, but what did Chase Young really do for us? So I'm gonna give it a C. Honestly, yeah, I think Chase Young and Leonard Floyd kind of null each other out. Yeah, did they get better or did they get worse? I think they definitely didn't get better. It can be an argument that they got worse to start.
And then that was going to be the next question. So you're saying they got worse, and if I had to give a grade, I'd probably be in that same range.
Mm-hmm.
C plus, at best C plus. That's the best I could give them. And the reason is you're adding a lot of depth. And last year, I had said last year before the season had started, I said the depth at the D line is going to be an issue. One player goes down, you're kind of hurt at the D line depth. So it does make a little bit of sense that they did add on depth there. But essentially, you got older.
Mm-hmm.
You may have gotten a little more athletic because they're a little more athletic kind of defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And twitchy. That's the word I should be looking for. Twitchy.
Yeah.
But you really didn't get better along the defensive line. Chase Young, you could argue he's very similar to either Gross-Matos from people I'm talking to in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a lot of plays off. That's kind of Chase Youngish. Looking at Leonard Floyd, just that speed guy. Now he hasn't fully confirmed, but Jordan Elliott, Malik Collins, Javon Kinlaw got a 1-year, $7.9 million deal, and I thought he had his best season yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good run defender, not a great pass rusher, kind of like Jordan Elliott. You're going to give him 2 years, $10 million, so that makes sense. You got him cheaper than you could have on Javon Kinlaw, but I do think the Niners did get a little worse this offseason, at least to now. So far we're in day 2 of technically free agency, fully underway, but through day 2, I think they're worse.
Right.
If you had to say defensively, what's the biggest issue defensively right now? If they got worse, what's the biggest issue?
I just don't. On passing downs, I don't trust that third corner, whether he's outside or if they keep Demo outside and they bring somebody that's currently on the roster inside. I don't trust that third defensive back that's going to come in on passing downs, and only time will tell. We don't know what we have in the last year's draft picks, Luther, and also Womack as well. Yeah, we can hope and wish, but we just haven't seen it yet. So for a team that's going all in, I don't really trust that third corner right now, currently.
So another name that was involved in that article was Quandre Diggs. So it does look like they're looking for that deep safety. So hopefully they could get that. I mean, I don't really think that's the biggest issue on the Niners. Like you said, it is Ambry Thomas, that third corner. Denominal Noor's versatility is a huge factor because now if you could pinpoint just getting a nickel corner or an outside corner, Demo could fix whatever you need. Like he could go outside, he could go inside. So that's a huge. As of right now, are there any free agents that the Niners should go out that are out there right now that they should sign?
I personally do like that they're looking for that ball hawk type of safety. I don't think Jair is really that ball hawk type of safety that I thought he would be. And not to say that he can't be that, but I don't think that's him. He's a good player, but I don't think that's him. So I would love like a Justin Simmons or a Quandre Diggs is another name that I would like. So those two, and I don't know who exactly still left at corner, but let's go.
I'll go ahead and name a few guys for you. So there's Xavier Howard's out there, but he's 30 and had injuries. Adoree Jackson's out there, 28. You got Michael Davis, who played under the Niners defensive coach that they just hired. CJ Henderson. You got Levi Wallace. You got Rock Ya-Sin. So it's kind of getting a little depleted out there now. You do also have Christian Fulton, who was at one point a high second-round pick. But those are some of the top names. Killa Witherspoon, who had a career year in L.A. So is there anyone on that secondary list, a corner list I just named that you're like, they should bring him in?
Go get Adoree. They can interchange. They can him and Demo can both play inside, outside. So whatever their preference is, I mean, it'll be good. You'll have nickel depth and starting depth all in one. So let's go get Adoree for the right price. I mean, I'm not saying drop a bag on him, but let's go get Adoree for the right price. Unless they feel very comfortable about Womack or Luther, if they feel comfortable about one of those two, stay put.
And what it does too with Adoree, one thing I do like about Adoree is the fact that they're very interchangeable. Now you don't have that pinpoint when the corners follow them or when they pass it off to the next guy. You could truly be in zone coverage, but look like you're in man with Adoree Jackson and Denominal Noor outside. So like you truly can make it look a lot more like man, or you could be in a zone, pass it off, but truly you're in man because they could cover in the slot, they could cover outside. So it gives you that versatility to disguise things a lot more. I do think he's going to get a little bit bigger contract than Kendall Fuller, which deservingly so. I think he's a better corner than Kendall Fuller. His market value, according to Spot Rack, is around $11 million. I don't think he gets that full $11 million. I think he's going to be a little bit lower because the cornerback class isn't as great. And a lot of teams aren't trying to overpay corners anymore because they saw what happened with J.C. Jackson. You see what happens with these corners when they get that big payday and then they fall off really fast. I think teams are trying to stay away from that top corner getting paid. If you look at it, the biggest corner to get paid so far, Tennessee. But when you're such a bad team, you have to overpay. They paid $12 million per year to Chidobe Awuzie from Cincinnati. So reports came out earlier today. The first report came out, and it was initially Deebo Samuel to the Ravens. It wasn't necessarily him being traded, but it sounded like the Ravens had called to see if he's available. Their general manager came out and was like, no, that's not true. Right. But that's also a general manager doing that PR stunt. You're like, hey, I'm not looking for receivers right now, because now what it does is it tells teams in the draft, if he can't land a receiver, it tells teams in the draft that he's going to be going most likely receiver in the draft. So could be a PR stunt. What are your thoughts
Mhm.
on the Niners taking that call? Because I'm pretty sure if there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, definitely. That's 100%. Um, so I mean, yeah, I can see why they're taking that call. Maybe they feel like they can get another. It's hard to say another Deebo, but a similar play style or a similar thing that they would want to do with Deebo in this offense. Maybe they can see they can get somebody in the second, third round, and maybe the Ravens are going to offer something good as well as take on a chunk of his salary, something like that. So I can see why they're picking up the call and exhausting our options and things like that. But man, he's a 1-1. I know the fans been on him lately, but he's a 1-1. So I feel like you only trade him unless if you have a good deal on the board and you feel good about some of the receivers in the draft that you feel like you can take, then yeah, take that call and entertain the talks and things like that. And if it happens, it happens.
And when you look at it, Baltimore is a team that when defenses play Baltimore, they love to play. They have to play zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you play man, Lamar's taking off on you, and you can't really stop Lamar if you're in man, essentially, because the moment your backs are turned and he sees a little bit of grass, he's gone. So what a lot of teams do, they go zone against them. That is where Deebo eats. Like
Excels.
Deebo eats against zone. So it may be that the Ravens are understanding, like, you know what, we need someone who could excel against zone.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a little bit worried. He could be a little bit shaky against man, but we know teams aren't going to be able to play man against us because Lamar is going to be able to go take off on you if you're in man. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, whoa, that makes a whole lot of sense for the Ravens to be in on Deebo.
Yeah.
If Deebo was traded, though, it doesn't make sense for the Niners to move him now. And I think it could be why the Ravens, right away, their GM turned it down, because the Niners don't want to move him now until post June 1st. Because if you look at it, if he's traded now, Niners eat $21.7 million. And they would save 6.8 if they trade him now.
Yeah.
Versus if they trade him post June 1st, they eat $6 million this year. They save $22 million this year, and then next year they eat 15. So they could.
Yeah, you got to do post June.
You got to do post June if you're trading them. So could be why the Ravens GM turned it down. Now, a little bit later, Jaguars reporter said that the Jags and Brandon Aiyuk had mutual interest. I saw that one. I was like, wait, what? BA has interest. Like, oh, okay, this makes a little bit of sense. They need a receiver one.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna throw a lot with Trevor Lawrence. Makes sense. Do you think BA to the Jags is a realistic thing, and should BA net that 17 pick? Because I know a lot of people are like, the Niners shouldn't trade Brandon Aiyuk, unless it's a top 10. I saw someone say a top 10 pick. They shouldn't trade him unless it's in the teens. What is fair compensation in return for Brandon Aiyuk?
Top 10 is rich. Top 10 is rich. I would go in between that, as high as 15. 15, I'll be around that 15 area and up, like 31 and in between 15 and 31. That's what I would look at Aiyuk. I mean, he's shown superstar potential. He doesn't get the superstar looks with the San Francisco 49ers, but he has shown that potential. He has shown the ability to, change games, make big plays and be a big time playmaker. So yeah, I'm gonna give him that range right there. But the Niners have to also look and see, like, the draft is a crapshoot now. You may pick his replacement, and he may not pan out. So you have to look and be sure that say, hypothetically speaking, if they were to trade Aiyuk and they targeted a number one receiver in that first round, you have to be pretty damn sure that this receiver is going to pan out. Because we saw what happened with Ken Law and Buck, right? The draft is a crapshoot. When you have somebody that you know what he is, you pay him. So
for everyone who's saying, like, so when I look at it, right, I think the best receiver in the NFL, I think he's still a top 2, top 3 receiver, in terms of Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
got traded from the Packers for a first. It was around 22 and a second.
Mm-hmm.
Does BA get more than what Adams went for?
So it's tricky. It's tricky. He's not Devontae Adams, but the age differences is tricky. So
Okay.
it depends. He may, and also, well, so I think Tay did get paid when he got traded too. It's tricky. It's tricky. He's not Devontae. I think he's a tier below. But that's tricky, man. I don't know. That's a tough question. That's a you got a team really has to love Brandon Aiyuk to give him that type of compensation.
If Brandon Aiyuk is looking for top dollar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking right now at I'm gonna pull up the receiver contracts, highest paid receivers. I believe the next Calvin Ridley's contract is very kind of where he should be looking for in terms of that came out. It was around 24, something like that, 23 million. That's where he should be looking at, right? Like when you're looking at the top total cash, so Calvin Ridley is getting 25 million per year, I believe. That's the starting point,
right?
Because it's when you look at it, it's Calvin Ridley. He's 29. I don't think he's as good as Brandon Aiyuk. What's too much in terms of a contract?
You know what? That's tough because there's always a player that's going to get more than what they deserve because of how the market is, right? And Calvin Ridley set that market. He set the market right there. So he's going to get more than what Calvin Ridley is getting. He's better than Calvin, and he's younger than Calvin Ridley. So, so it might be he's going to be up. He's going to be ahead of what Calvin Ridley got. So the Niners have to look themselves in the mirror and say, are we willing to pay this? Do we see him as a superstar? That next line of players, they have the Kittles and, the Fred Warners and, all those type of players. Is he that next person to be tenured with the Niners for a long time? They got to look at themselves in the mirror. Have they budgeted for it? So, he's going to get it regardless, whether that's from the Niners or somebody else. He's going to get it.
So looking at the contract, so average per year, and average per year doesn't necessarily mean anything because the guaranteed money is where teams can move off of. So Calvin Ridley's around sitting at 9 at 23 million. And then you also have Michael Pittman, who was extended at 23.3. Then you have Deebo at 7 at 23.8.
He's getting more than that.
So would you say he's in that 25 range with AJ Brown? Because AJ Brown's the fourth highest paid receiver per year at 25 million per year.
He has to be below AJ Brown. AJ Brown is a certified superstar, and he has the numbers to back it up.
So would you say he's in that range with because the next guy after AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs at 24 million?
He has to be below. He has to be below both of them, I say. Unless he resets the market.
Resetting the market's at 30.
And he's not going to get that.
And that's Tyreek. So in order, it goes Tyreek at 30, Tay Adams at 28, Cup at 26.7, AJ Brown at 25, Stephon Diggs 24, DK at 24, Deebo at 23.8. In my opinion, 24. There's no way Deebo is more than is a better receiver and gets paid more than Brandon. Like no way.
Not at all.
So the starting point I had said the starting point was at 23.
Yeah.
Because of Calvin Ridley's deal that came out, which was 4 years, 92, 46.9 guaranteed at signing. Looking at it, there's no way Brandon Aiyuk gets less than 24 million because Stephon Diggs' contract's a little outdated. He signed his contract a couple of years ago, so it's a little outdated. He is just 30. DK's contract, I believe, is from a year or two ago. So it's his was a little shorter term deal. They did a 3-year deal. So he's sitting at 24 is the starting price for Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it.
Do you think he gets 24? Does he get more?
If you say DK is at what?
DK is at 24.
He's gonna get more than 24. He's younger. How old is DK? Or are they the same age?
DK is, let me pull it up. I have it right here. So he is 27 this year. Brandon Aiyuk's gonna be 26 this year.
Yeah, he'll get slightly above DK.
Slightly above DK.
Yeah, that's what I'm going. He's going to get slightly above DK. Now, do the Niners feel like they want to pay that?
Would you? That's the main thing. Is would you?
I would.
You would?
I would pay him.
So if you had to choose between Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo, you had to choose one because it doesn't fit into your contract situations. The Niners draft the receiver hypothetically this year high, second round pick, third round pick, a really good receiver. You have a lot of weapons, so you could afford to let that guy develop. With Jawan Jennings being tendered at $4.9 million, you have the opportunity to have that guy come in and not truly be a true number 2 receiver. You can have Jennings take that role. You could trade Deebo post June 1st. You're also getting $18 million from that Armstead contract post June 1st. Would you trade Deebo, or do you keep or to keep Brandon Aiyuk, or do you keep Deebo and trade Brandon Aiyuk?
I'm keeping Aiyuk. Aiyuk is a certified number 1 receiver, and when you have a certified number 1 receiver right there, you can have a number 2 like Jennings. You can have that type of player, and then you can have another rookie to be your third receiver and groom him in to be the second receiver, and then have an out in the contract. It doesn't have to be a crazy deal where you're locked in for too long. Have an out. In the Aiyuk contract where, say something goes wrong and he falls off, you have an out. So, but I'm paying Aiyuk and trading Deebo.
So you keep saying certified receiver. Can you explain to us what a certified receiver is in terms of receiver eyes? Because obviously you played receiver at the highest level, so you know what a certified receiver is. Explain to us what that means.
So when I say a certified receiver, I'm saying somebody that can go line up man-to-man versus a Jalen Ramsey, third down and 6. The game is on the line. We need a first down to keep the sticks moving. I trust him to go get open. I don't have to scheme him open. I trust him to get open on time, make the catch. If he makes the catch, he has the ability to make more happen after the catch. So that's when I say a certified receiver, that's what I'm talking about. Aiyuk, Devontae, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, even a T. Higgins, players like that, certified receivers.
Is Deebo considered a certified receiver, or is he just like a top receiver?
He's a top receiver. He's a top football player. Deebo Samuel is a top football player, and I don't want to disrespect his receiver, but he does so much more to affect the game and affect his position that I'll give him. He's a top player.
I'm putting you in a tough spot today. I ask you some
and
harder
questions.
I
love it. Yeah, I love it.
Some of those questions, I feel bad. Man. I feel bad asking in these questions, but I kind of have to ask you.
You got to, man. Keep on asking them. Got to.
I mean, you're the receiver guy. Like, you're my receiver. Like, obviously, the guy I go to for receivers is obviously you played in the league. You know what you're talking about when it comes to receivers. So that's what I'm asking is, like, if Deebo isn't that certified guy, is he worth that 23 point whatever million he's getting paid? At 20, his cap hits 28. But is he worth that much money?
What do the Niners feel like they can find another player that does the same thing and brings the same type of effectiveness to this offense that Deebo does? It may be easier to find another gem of a receiver, like a certified receiver. It may be easier to find that than to find somebody with that is capable to do what Deebo does. That's lining up in the backfield. That's taking the screen 60 yards. That's every time you touch the ball, you're changing the game in some type of way. That's gadget plays. That's being a decoy because they don't know what's about to happen. So that's what the Niners have to choose. What do they feel is easier to replace? That certified receiver or that player that does so much and you can use so many different packages for this player, and teams don't know what's coming.
And what's crazy is like when with this situation the Niners are in, like they obviously love Deebo Samuel. That's why they extended him.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has been pretty injured. So like we also got to factor that into everything, because those kind of receivers or gadget guys don't last crazy long in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Deebo's situation and Brandon Aiyuk's situation, obviously when you have so many mouths to feed in the offense, you played in a high power offense in college. Same with the NFL. You were with a couple of elite receivers. Obviously, you played with Tay Adams.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it for receivers to have those elite guys on the other side that are taking targets away for you? Is it better to have an offense where, for example, Brandon Aiyuk's your number one receiver, and then Jennings is your number two, with the complementary pieces of Kittle, CMC, or is it a better offense to have Brandon Aiyuk only getting 4 or 5 targets a couple of games, and Deebo and everyone else is getting the workload as a receiver in that offense? Which offense is typically better?
So it depends, honestly. So you gotta. I think if you ask somebody, if you went back and asked Devontae today, how would he prefer it at Fresno State? He would say, I would definitely prefer to play with 2 other receivers that takes attention away from me, and this is more one-on-ones that I get. I'll still get double teamed sometimes, but I'll get more one-on-ones when the other receivers are producing, right? But in an offense like the Niners, they're not throwing the ball how Derek Carr was at Fresno State, right? So in an offense like the Niners, they're not throwing the ball a lot. So Aiyuk's not getting those targets. So it really doesn't matter who's on the other side, because if there's another receiver on the other side, you're really both going to only get 4 targets a game. So it just depends on what type of offense. If this was a who throws the ball across the field all the time, what team does it? I don't know who leads the not even like say the Chiefs back in the day.
Chiefs.
Chiefs in the back in the day.
I mean, I guess the Dolphins do a lot too right now.
The Dolphins throw a lot. So that right there, like I bet Waddle loves having Tyreek on the other side, and Tyreek loves having Waddle on the other side. Obviously, Hill's going to get more of the eyes focused on him. But there's going to be times where Waddle's going crazy, and Tyreek Hill's turn is now, because he's going to get that one-on-one now. So
just looking at things like the way I'm like, so would you say the Niners offense could be a better offense if they had Jennings as their number 2, who could actually take away some attention? Or because we saw him in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl as a receiver, he's really good. Like I think he's super underrated as a receiver. Or for example, let's say the Niners draft a receiver in this draft class, which is a very deep draft class, and he's a good receiver, a good route runner. Will their offense be more explosive and a better offense with a true receiver, or is it with that gadget guy? Like, what would you have to say in terms of the 49ers having that receiver?
No, I think it's still going to be more explosive with the gadget type of Deebo. If you can get a Deebo, I think I would prefer Deebo over Jennings. Deebo's more explosive, and then having McCaffrey in the backfield, it just makes everything much more different. So
if the Niners obviously, like, I don't think the Niners do trade any of them, but it's just the way the reports are coming out, like contract offers and stuff like that, or not contract offers, but teams are calling to see who's available and stuff like that during the free agency period. If the Niners could get someone like Xavier Legette or Ricky Pearsall from Florida in that second round to replace Deebo, like post June 1st, if they get one of those guys, do you think it's more realistic that they trade Deebo?
Yes. If you can find somebody who can at least a little bit of the production that Deebo does, a little bit of the attention drawn from the defense that Deebo does, if you can find that in a rookie, they're gonna trade him in a heartbeat.
I know the rookie that does do that, that does that yards after the catch role, which is probably gonna go a little bit sooner than people think. Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. 5'11", 205. That's, I mean, if the Niners can get someone like that, you may think about moving Deebo. Have you started watching the receiver class yet?
The top. But
The top guys.
but I'm gonna start diving in weeks before the draft. So you know, it's coming. The receivers are first for sure. I got to get
So
that down pat.
because I'm gonna need to know if there's a receiver that could replace Deebo in that
Mm-hmm.
second or third round. Like, is there
Mm-hmm.
someone the Niners could trade up with in that or early second, or I
Mm-hmm.
mean, or early third or whatever, that they could go get a guy? Because if Malachi Corley's that guy, they could trade up to go get him.
Yeah.
Or even at 63, if they could get someone like Roman Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Legette, and they're replaceable,
Mm-hmm.
it may be the right opportunity to, you know what, trade away Deebo. You get picks for him now. You do eat cap space next year, but it may be the time. I mean, I don't know. Um, I know Leon Sandcastle wants to know what are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on Rosemary Jackson from Georgia. My thoughts are he's a good run blocker, underdeveloped late round draft pick. That's what I've seen from him when I watch him. There's not much to it. Doesn't have much film out there on him that I was able to see. But you chose BA over Deebo, but you think the Niners should keep both this year to be
Yes.
all in.
Yes.
You gave the Niners a C grade. Man, a lot of people are going to be after you for that one.
Bring it on.
Is there any team out there that's making like moves and you're like, dang, like they're catching the Niners? Because obviously the Niners were in the Super Bowl. There's not many moves you could truly make
Yeah.
when you're in at a cap crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Any teams making moves, you're like, dang, they're catching up to us.
No, I mean, no, I wouldn't say catching up. I think Kansas City and Niners are still on top of the NFL. But I like what Washington is doing over there, and of course, I like what Houston is
Don't
doing.
say that. Don't say that. You're gonna have people saying that all you do is jock Adam Peters, bro.
And I seen a bit of that, but I've been so busy, I haven't even been on Twitter like that. But in Houston, I love what Houston's doing.
Houston,
Yeah.
they've done some things. I kind of like
Mhm.
what. So I mean, I don't like it because it's the
Mhm.
Eagles, but I thought the Eagles have had a pretty solid free agency. They just picked up Devin White to help out with their linebackers. Misses a lot of tackles, but solid linebacker.
Flies
Gives them
around.
great in coverage.
Mhm.
They also got Saquon Barkley. We all know what a good running back does to your offense. Look at CMC to the Niners offense.
Yeah.
Took it to another level.
But my thing is, they had a decent running back last year and they underutilized him. So are they going to do the same?
But you kind of can't do that with
Saquon
because it's Saquon, like, and you paid him what most people were surprised about.
Right.
So with Saquon, it's a little bit different because he's the top running back in the league.
Yeah.
Versus DeAndre Swift was coming off down years, so it's kind of like, well, he's had injuries. We're trying to save him. So like, you can't do that with Saquon.
True.
Another team I do like what they're doing is the Lions. I do like what the Lions have done, getting DJ Reader, trading for a corner. They're understanding where their weaknesses are.
Yeah.
But I do think so far my free agency winners, even though people think it's weird that I think it, Adam Peters has done a phenomenal job. And I think D'Amico Ryans has done they've done phenomenal in getting the right pieces for their defense. I also like that they're all in. They understand. D'Amico Ryans understands that he has a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. They're all in. Daniil Hunter, Autry from Tennessee. That D line's gonna be filthy.
So I'm curious. What happened to the Florida running back that just felt like he had a great rookie year and
Damian Pierce.
Yeah.
That's what I'm shocked too because he was injured. I want to say he was injured year 2. His second year, not much of a passing receiver. I think that's kind of what they're going for. So it should be a nice 1-2 punch with Joe Mixon as the 1 and Pierce as the 2. But even then, like even when he was healthy, like they didn't really use him and they were using Singletary. That's what I was kind of. I don't know.
I want to know what happened.
Well, they did also take Kyle Shanahan's system, so
not fit.
Pierce. I don't think Pierce might have fit that zone running scheme that gets sideways and cut up and with the one cut. And interesting, actually, that's very. I'm gonna have to look into that because Damian Pierce was really good his rookie year.
If he didn't get hurt, he would have hit 1,000 yards. So,
well, very interesting. Niners might trade Hufanga. Deebo and BA should stay. They get a C on their report card through 2 days on free agency. Man, well, that's it for today's show. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, thanks for joining me today, Jay Harp.
Yep. Sure.
Make
Thanks
sure
for
I'll go
having
get a
me.
water bottle and make sure I'll buy the book. Don't forget.